Now check this out, and I bet that's a plastic window. It is. Yeah. So this is the tin tabernacle, and it's an amazing thing. Have a little walk around it, show everybody what it is. It's St. Mary's Church. People lived on the site where this church is for over 10,000 years, 5 times the amount of time that Christianity has existed. I'm sorry,
No, we're going to go and have a look on the back.
Go in the nettles, you got it. Oh, yeah. Look at it. These are the kind of huts that they made during World War II. Amazing. It's just painted.
That's a bit stained there, is it?
Yeah, and it's a stained glass window. Yeah. Why not?
Why not?
One of the Britain's only churches built by a kit. During World War I, the bodies of some of the soldiers that came back from the First World War were apparently laid out here. But it's this area beyond the back of the church. Apparently, church socials were held here, which I think is an amazing thing. And the place has been dedicated to St. Mary the Virgin, of course. Women's Institute were here. And this area of ground is the only part of the tin tabernacle. Oh, there's a nice little feature window up yonder, which is quite bonny. Imagine all the steel they have to weld to cut one in that shape. And there's a story of a little girl who apparently came to one of these church socials here. Now, this is if the story from Victoria, it was about 1882. They had a big church social, apparently. And one of the little girls went missing. Now, they say that she was found seriously ill about 7 days later. I don't know whether anybody had her, got a hold of her and hurt her at all. But the spirit of a little girl said to walk around this area. Now, it looks like just a beautiful walkie track or a cycle track or whatever. But maybe when that mist continues to roll in past the watch house, tell you all about that when we get a little bit closer. Just starting off at a place that, and I love the patching. You know that?
That's fantastic.
It's not even metal, I don't know what it is. It's like fiberglass or something.
It's like bodge, isn't it? Car bodge.
Car bodge.
Yeah.
Bodge or not.
Bodge or not.
It works for sure. So the tin tabernacle, our starting place, as we go down to the seaside, and some World War II mementos that they've left on the beach. Now, we did plan for the second half of this show was originally going to be a solid heads down ghost hunt. With Tony not being here, this might be a grizzly trail. I would suggest is probably the best way that we can give you a show tonight. It was either this brand new or you weren't going to get anything. So thumbs up, fingers crossed. Let's rock on. And I've already been stabbed by nettles. And
let's start.
It's not going to be the last time, is it?
No.
No, I really like it though. I like the fact that, they will have had the chance to have this built in stone or in wood or whatever. And look at it. And even the cross that's stuck on the front. Irrespective of what your belief system is, they had a temporary church put up and they kept it. And I just kind of like the idea. Anyway, I'm getting out of here. And if you can manage to...
Yeah, I'll not fall over there.
Let's head up the hill. So, just walk with us, please, if you will. And cast your eyes on the top of it. Directly to the left-hand side there, up the hill, that is a thing called the Lookout Cottage. And built in 1822 as a Coast Guard watch house to try and stop smuggling activities. And if they saw any, they'd report them. Soldiers would come, confiscate any goods, and kill the people responsible if necessary. On one occasion, they sank a boat off Newton by the Sea, and 3 people died. But 3 people drowned. Saved taking them to court, I suppose. But and I know it's a bit of a walk, but there's something, once we get over the hill, there's something pretty much on every step Now, if you're looking for somewhere that you could argue was a smuggler's nest, and I mean, pretty much every house had a link to smuggling, Newton by the Sea was it. I mean, completely and utterly soaked in smuggling. Now, I don't know about you, and you might not be able to tell this. There's mist here. Can you see there's like just a hint of haze, Paul?
Yes, I can see.
A lot of people don't come to Newton by the Sea. They tend to go probably to Alnwick, I'm guessing, is the...
Yeah, sea houses are just up the street.
You should pop down here and check it out. There's car parking everywhere. As soon as you start to see this, and there is mist coming in.
Yeah, you can see the mist coming in. Yeah.
The watch house. Now think about what you had. They said that the Coast Guard people that worked there, watching out for smugglers, this is middle 1800s. This place had smuggled for about 500 years. So you saying we've now got a watch house, like there's a police house. We're now all going to have to behave. That's not how it worked. They just tried to be sneakier, tried to come in further down the coast. Now, normally you can see the opposite coast.
Yeah, that's coming in.
A castle, but the mist is already starting to play with us a little bit. And you can see the beautiful beaches just down the bottom if you can. If you've got this scanned up to your big telly, it'll be magnificent once we get down there. Now, you see the houses here. They're relatively newish houses. And there's a street down there called Boatman's Place. Now, originally, there was a guy called Harrison. Now, Harrison owned, do you remember these?
These? Sticky dots.
When you were at school.
Yeah.
And anybody that had a cardigan or a jumper. I don't know.
This should stick on here. Oh, hey.
If you had a woolly on, you'd find somebody that was wearing usually those cut off little round necked, and you'd get all of these little darts and you'd walk behind them and and by the time they got into the class, they looked like a woolly mammoth, though. I
bet you'd stick in me beard.
In green. Oh, you reckon?
You reckon?
Gonna try and Paul's beard.
Hang on, we'll just
come on then. There's got to be 20 of them in there by the
fantastic.
And the Scottish thistle, synonymous not just with Northumberland, but the Scots came here. They had a field day here at Newton. Now this is Herdman Place. The next one down, I believe, is Boatsman's Place. Now Boatsman's Place was once a huge boatyard. They've got another one. I think you can see it just at the bottom of the hill. There used to be a big boatyard up here. And the people that ran the boatyard...
Alan, what's that in the water? Look at that. What's that sticking out of the water? Can you see the storm? Is that that's moving?
It's moving?
Look at that. I thought it was is that
a seal or whale?
It's
bloody huge.
Look at it. But it's moving.
Could it be a boy?
Can anybody see this at home on your big screens?
Yeah, pull across. That is. I hope they can.
Look at that. Hang on. I'm gonna stand still here. Right. It's about here. Can you make that out on if you're watching your TVs?
It looks like a whale's head sticking out of the water, but it's moving just from side to side though. That's wild.
That's weird, isn't it?
Right, but first of all, I want you to take a look at the rocket house, if you would be so kind. The rocket house over yonder. This is one of very few left in Britain. And so what's a rocket house? Is it somebody that just makes fireworks and sets them off and that's cool? It would be all right. It's not. The rocket house is where they kept hold of the brand new northern designed rocket to get ropes onto ships that were having difficulty in the sea. They'd fire a rocket across them. The rocket then would get rope onto the vessel. The sailors would get hold of the rope and pull it until, presumably out of that door there, they pulled a breeches buoy, a huge buoy that had a hawser, a big heavy bit of rope onto it, attach it to the ship, and then they would carry them. People would hook onto the rope and be pulled across from the sinking ship, and it saved thousands of lives. There's not very many of them left. The rocket house is pretty damn special. And next to it, the buildings here are the Coast Guard cottages, also designed originally to stop the intense smuggling done here, because this is a hidden bay. And you can see they've got the name on the side as well there.
Coast Guard cottages.
It used to be the homes for Coast Guard volunteers, but the volunteers quite often had to be a bit roughy-tufty because the smugglers that lived here, and over the years, a lot of smugglers have lived here, they would move here especially, knowing that they were in a community of like-minded souls. And the tallyman and the soldiers that would come here on regular occasions to try and find them, nobody, not even the priests, would say zip. And why? Because the priest and all of the people that lived here were enjoying fine wine, the French cheeses, a glass of brandy. And these are people that, if they had lived in the cities, they would be poor as poo. They would have nothing. But out here in the countryside, just for being quiet, they've given me this, they've given me that. I'm getting some wine, I'm getting some cheese, and silks, woolens from Belgium, Dutch beer, all brought here, down there at the sea. And I still have no idea what that big damn...
I don't know what that is.
That is for sure. Now, there is another building down here that, and I think it's possibly just I think it may have changed over the years, but apparently in the 1800s, I know exactly where I am. You see, they've got this house here, they've got lots of fishing accoutrements attached to it. Well, back in the day, there was a street now. From 1877, he kept a small fishing fleet at sea, all of the cobles. His name was James Harrison. He moved on to timber, a timber business when he'd finished his time building cobles. But the good thing about James Harrison, and his ghost is said to walk here, some say on this street, I've heard more stories closer to the beach, he's seen wearing like fisherman's waders, and he goes down and he actually, at the end of every repair to every coble, now you got to remember a coble, the small fishing boat, that's the livelihood of the people, some of the people that worked and lived here. And without that, they'd have starved. Now, the interesting thing is that before any coble was allowed to go back out to sea, it had to be floated, and James Harrison would come down in his waders, wade out into deep water and go around the entire vessel, see if there was any bubbles, see if any air was getting in, and until it had passed the Harrison test, nobody had to pay him a penny. He actually had a phrase, and the phrase was, "No cure, no pay," which I thought was pretty damn special. Yeah, but, I think it's.
But from back where we were, it
did look like something was just popping up. That's where the phrase comes from. Salt was one of the most valuable things you could have. Roman soldiers quite often were paid in salt because it was worth more than gold to them. And I'll give you two Romany ones. Salt, he's not worth his salt, O great Caesar. Fair enough. There's one phrase. I'm going to have to do a show about phrases at some point. And the other one was the word testimony. To give testimony comes from the Romans. Now, remember how Romans used to dress in the little cool off-the-shoulder, slightly skirty, on the edge of camp? We've all seen Kenneth Williams and Charles Hawtrey doing the whole Roman thing when we're announced more, Sid James. Not all of us, but some of us. And the testimony thing was really interesting because you would go in front of Caesar and you would say, "My lord, I have some news." And he would say, "Are you telling the truth?" "Yes, I am." "I need you to give testimony." Testimony came from how a Roman soldier had to cup his testes in his hands. I'm not doing it because I need both my hands. Cup your sphericals and swear that you were telling the truth. And if you weren't telling the truth, you lost your sphericals. So next time somebody says, I need you to give testimony, make sure you put some cream on. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. So anyway, leaving this to one side, we're now heading down that, well, just slightly along that alleyway there, in between those two houses. Now, I'm just beginning to think that maybe, you know, the White House, maybe it was that one.
Maybe, yes.
Maybe it was that one. Right, go on, everybody. We're just heading back, but I just thought you might enjoy the view. There's so many different things to see, even in tiny places. People who live here think they'll know the town. It's not even. Hello, everybody. As you can see, we are back in the vehicle, and we got down to the bottom of the hill, and everything just went pear-shaped. We came off lane immediately. So all of those stories, everything that we had for you tonight, we're literally not going to be able to share you. So just bear with us. I've decided that we're just going to drive and we're going to tell a few stories as we go. So we're up, we're happening. The story of Low Newton will have to stay lost forever. And hang on, allow me to seat belt as well. And we're going to ad-lib the show.
Why not?
Bear with me a second. Yep. I think I am in. Now, here we go. Low Newton, bad signal, won't happen. So we're going to drive on to other places and tell a story or three. Get us back onto the A1 and then I'll pick a place and we'll just go. So it's a bit of a road trip tonight. And Paul and I are now in a situation where the signal was really weak. So we're going to get back to the A1 because we had signal, we think, pretty much the whole way. You can see it's beautiful sunrise that I'm just blinding everybody with over the amazing fields of Northumberland. That here around Low Newton was a place where all the smugglers lived, and sons of smugglers and cousins of smugglers. I love the idea that don't kill the pigeons. They're on the road if we can avoid it.
Come on.
Oh, man, ho.
What the word the last second.
I did. On one occasion, Paul, I was driving along and there was just a puff of feathers and the sound of a balloon bursting. And it's the noise that a pigeon makes if you go over it. I'm not suggesting that you guys do that. It's an awful thing. And I regretted it happening, but pigeons just don't get out your way. So we're coming out of Low Newton now. No, we're back. Sorry about this. We had no clue that this was going to happen, and we thought if we did, we'd have the gear to be able to cope with it, because the gear allows us to go 4G so we can avoid similar problems. This is the long road that takes you down to Low Newton, and we're heading back towards the A1. Do we know where we're going? Absolutely not. But bottom line is we will get there. Paul's... I'm
just following the front wheels.
Absolutely. It's going to be one of them kind of road trip sort of things. And it's weird because on another occasion, and I know you've had birds bounce off your windscreen because you drive for a living, don't you, Paul?
Oh, yes. It's occupational hazard.
It is an awful thing. Twice I've had two situations where that's kind of happened to me. One, I hit a sparrow and I was aware that I hadn't hit it hard. I was only doing about 20 miles an hour when I hit it. We're now heading... if you can see the Anwick sign, because we're not too far from Anwick. Let's have a little run. Let's go to Anwick Castle.
Yeah, let's go to Anwick Castle.
We can certainly do that. And as it's near, and it hit this little sparrow and it bounced off. So I pulled the car over to the side of the road and I picked the sparrow up. And when I got it in my hand, the little heart was still beating like 7 of the dozen. So I thought, I'll put it in the car so that no cat or dog gets a hold of it and gives it a chow, and then all of a sudden it just took off, and it was flying around the car, and I came very close to dying that day. Was a fact. And the other thing that happened, I was working for the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food at a place that used to be right at the top of Kenton Bar, next to the pub called the Kenton Bar. That's,
Kenton Bar, yes.
That's now kind of long gone. And while we were in the Jeep, we were a little bit late, and the guy who was a plant pathologist who I was with put the Jeep into top gear and hit a crow right in the middle of the windscreen, and you couldn't see out of it for blood. It was an awful, dark and unpleasant thing, and I had to go to a shop and back, because back then people didn't walk around with water or buy bottles of water. Nobody did. That's a relatively new thing.
Just use your shirt.
Yeah. And we were using rags and a bottle of water to try and get all of this gore off the windscreen. It was downright nasty. Downright nasty. Anyway, the screen is held, so we've got a little bit of that. And let me just see if we can switch this. Oh, there you go. Switch the settings around maybe as well. And facing front. And hopefully that's me. Hello. So there you go. And it is rock hot in here, hot and sticky. But just to give you the chance to realise that this we're doing this live. This is not some kind of well, not that. Oh, look at that! Oh, yeah! The camera was facing me, man. Oh no!
Hey,
that's no good.
It winked at you when it went past.
No, absolutely. Right. Now, I'm aiming it at me again, but it's camera facing front. Well, okay. Can we face the back? Let's press that, and hopefully we're back on the road again. Very good. Right. Okay. So, sorry about that. Just wanted to prove that that we were doing this live. Where it is exactly 10 minutes past 9, and we're rocking along the country roads here in Northumberland, and beautifully carved and created fields on either side, where they're obviously getting ready for autumn. Getting all the crops in, lots of lovely houses along here. We're going to Anwick because the Percy family have such an amazing history, not just around Anwick, where of course the Percys are still in command of all the survey, but back in the day, with one of the greatest heroes that the North has ever seen. He was definitely the Alan Shearer of his day, and that was Harry Hotspur. Henry Percy, who ended up losing his life to the Scots. And the Percys always used to say he was the man, the warrior that no one could possibly capture. And yet he was captured, and everybody thought, oh, they're going to kill him because he's like a big English hero. But the Percys had enough money to buy him back. And it was just his men that were killed by the Scots, which I've never thought was fair. I think if you're going to lead them into battle, you should pay the consequences if that's what's going to happen. I've got like 4 pages of the coolest show that I want to share with you about Low Newton, but I think I would rather kind of hold on to it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's rather than waste it. Paul, you've paid attention to all of the shows that we've done in the past. Which one is the one that kind of lit you up? Because you know the shows probably better than we do.
Well, there's such a variety of places that you've been. But I mean, you've got to say that one of the best ones for Sheena and I had to be Whitby, because we love Whitby anyway. But I mean that's by the by, because Whitby on its own, because the amount of history that's there with the Abbey and everything, that's there's something at every turn. And
I think that's the reason why so many people like it when you do a big place like Durham or Hexham or Newcastle, especially if we do a Grizzly Trail, because the places are literally just so spectacular.
Right, tell you another place as well. Right, I can't remember if it was on the Coast of Story, Crook Hall.
Oh, Crook Hall was great.
Crook Hall. Now, Crook Hall was absolutely that was amazing. That, and also the Air Museum at Sunderland. That always
pays.
That
always gives you something.
It's
the thing about Crook Hall is we did the very first show that we did at Crook Hall, which isn't in Crook, it's in Durham City or the edge of Durham City. I put two listeners in, neither of them that believed in ghosts, and they both saw the full-bodied apparition of a woman in there, and the young lady came running out, and the guy came out effing and blindly, so guess what I've just been seeing, and it was quite spectacular. We did a couple of radio shows, and we've done one filmed show, and at one of the filmed bits, I've got an image recorded of, and maybe for the Blah next week, Tony could dig out the footage of it. It's this telephone, in fact, that we're bodging together tonight's show. I was sending a text to my wife just to say, we're there now, we're just about to start. And suddenly the phone went haywire and something started pressing all of the buttons. And we've got this on tape with my hands away from the phone, holding it. And there's something pressing all the buttons of the phone, and you can see the words coming up on text. And they weren't making any sense whatsoever. But the thing is, if you are spirits, say, you wouldn't necessarily, depending when you were a spirit from, you wouldn't necessarily even know how to operate a telephone. And you just press all the buttons, wouldn't you? So, and that was absolutely incredible. So we'll try and dig that out for the Blah on Tuesday if Tony, I know Tony still have it, just a question of him digging it out. Now, I thought we were nearer Anwick than we were. We're not too far away here, are we?
No.
So we'll be there real soon, and we'll give you some better pictures than just pigeons, dead flies.
More pigeons.
And a bit of scruff on the windscreen, that's what it is. But I'm trying to get you to miss the best of it. And I don't want it to wobble too much. So when were you last out in the car? Hopefully it was over the weekend where you've been enjoying a little bit of heat. But I must say, this is not exactly what I had planned for tonight by a million miles.
It's warm.
But it is claggy.
Oh, it is. I'm sweating like a Geordie in a spelling test, Alan.
So you're not a Geordie then? Where are you from? Because you're obviously not a Southern Jesse. So where are you from?
Originally, I was born in North Shields.
North Shields? Well, that's a Geordie.
That's a Geordie.
Side of the time, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
How dare you? There you go. We've often talked about all things Geordie on the Blah. We were doing what Geordie phrases mean. And the interesting thing about it is an awful lot of Geordie words come from Anglo-Saxons and people from Central Europe. It's quite weird to see. And one of them, Gadji, comes from the British Empire in India, which you know. So fascinating. But we're rocking down the roads. We'll have some stuff to see. Can you go up to well, just get there and then drive slow, and we'll cover.
Get there and drive slow.
We'll cover as much as we can on a very different road trip. My apologies to you if you were expecting, as we were, a full-on ghostly trail today.
Right, we're
nearly there.
We're
We are nearly there. We're in Anwick, which is literally just around the corner, and
we'll go the back way of the bridge.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We'll get the lion.
Yeah, get the lovely lion on the way in, which is cool.
Oh, where's he gone?
Yeah, somebody in there. There's a beautiful little Celtic cross that we're just passing. And this is all Percy land, a little well there for horses that we've just passed by with 1849 carved on the side of it. And Look at that beautiful sunset.
Another nice sunset.
We're getting sunsets galore here. We absolutely are. And coming round the side. This is the one that brings you out into the middle of Anwick, pretty much, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, this comes down. This comes over the Lion Bridge. You can see the castle dead ahead there.
Oh yeah, the castle. I don't know whether you can see the castle on the hillside. Yeah, I see it. Walking through. And we will stop and get out somewhere as well. Maybe by the side. Yes. Oh, hang on. Oh. Yes. Can we pull in?
Pull in, yeah. Pull in there.
Brilliant. Because we have inadvertently reached a ghosty place. So let's just dive. If you can leave it here for 10 minutes. Let's hey, wait. So we're out. Now on the edge of Denwick, there's a bridge, and I just noticed that we've just come across it. You can see you can tell it's marshland because you get these kind of plants along the side of marshes. Don't know whether we'll be able to get down to this particular river, but I do know there's the story of Catherine along this river. I can't remember her surname, which is really irritating, Paul. But this is obviously on the outskirts of Denwick, before you get into Anwick. Now, there's the sign for Anwick up next to where we're parked. There's a bridge. This is the bridge. And it's a bridge where a young lady lost her life. I don't know whether you can actually see. In fact, you might have a better idea. Oh, yeah, you get a much better glimpse here. Now, this is quite stunning. Have a look at that.
There's a heron right in the middle of the weir.
There's a heron standing right in the centre of the weir, kind of looking back at us like emu. But it's along at this time of night, and I know it's still bright in the sky, but you can see amazing bridge here. And it was said that this woman, Catherine, and I want to say Alison Anderson, can't remember her surname, but her name was Catherine, and she lived in Anwick, and she'd lost her beloved fighting with the Scots, and she came down to this bridge, and she threw herself off. Now, apparently at the time, and I know it looks idyllic, it looks like the worst thing that's going to happen is you'll go splash, then probably stand up because it's not going to be that deep. But back then, this river was in complete flood, and it was the water was gushing down here. And I would imagine that back in those days, because we're talking hundreds of years ago, I'm fairly sure that weir wouldn't be in place, would it?
No.
And so the water would be absolutely flying down here. And with that being the case, Catherine decided that she couldn't live without a man, so hurled herself into the water and was carried off. And they never found her body. And the weird thing was that when her family, the Allisons or the Andersons, God, I hate it when I can't remember her surname, when they searched for her body, and I think this tells you a little bit about the place that the North was back in the day. Let's just see if we can. You never know, we might be able to spot her body now. She might still be here somewhere. Looks darker and more tranquil. Sorry, Paul, just going past you so we can actually see along the river as far as we possibly can as to where she was swept. Look at this. Look at all the reeds down the bottom. You can imagine. And you might not be able to make this out unless you've got this kind of screened up to your big telly, but you see all the reeds like bulrushes and stuff right at the far end, causing the channel to narrow. Do you see it?
Yes.
If a body went into there, in the middle of that, you're never going to find one, are you?
Well, it's just going to stay, isn't it?
It's just going to stay where it was. But the interesting thing about this particular story is that when the family went off in search for Catherine's body, because she was a lovely woman and she desperately loved, obviously, the man that she gave her own life to join. And this is the thing that, and I know people get on at me because I occasionally criticize religious beliefs, but she had been told by her priest that when she dies, she's going to be united with her man on the other side. Now, if that's true, great. In my case, I've had 5 wives, not looking forward to it. Just not looking forward to it. If you know, it comes to that, if there is another side and they're all tapping their fingers in here he is, they'll all be sharing stories, not having that. Probably rather go to the other place. But there isn't another place, is the thing. But anyway, but she'd been told that if she was no longer alive, she'd be with her man. And he'd just died. He'd just been killed by the Scots. So she killed herself. And you can see people doing that because they genuinely believe. They're completely loyal to their faith. And I'm not knocking anybody for whatever they believe. But it cost her her life. Here, off this bridge. Don't know which side she jumped from. Don't even know if this bridge, I would imagine this bridge possibly wouldn't even look like it does now. Then. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Back in the day. I'd love to go down and get a bit closer. Let's just do it. We can. Yeah, we can. Yeah, I think there's a gate down there. Oh, good grief. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. We've spent our lives plodging around and getting progged and these kind of things. No, we'd not get out again. But oh, look at that. There's another lovely dribbly little waterfall at the far end of that weir over yonder. Bonnie.
You know what I saw? Around on the corner of the bridge, there's some Roman numerals with a date, obviously, when it was built.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see if we could decipher what it was. If I get a picture of it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. But there's been a bridge here, obviously, for the longest time. The thing I was going to tell you, though, that probably the juiciest part of the story, and this is actually something that happened on another river in the northwest. We visited a place called Muncaster Castle a few times, doing ghost shows. It's not far from the Lake District. Beautiful castle. And they had a story of a girl who got lost in a river with a very, very similar outcome. Now, the thing about Catherine's missing. Her family have all started search parties, going out into the grass, into the greenery, along river banks, probably up that side and along that darkened patch. And you see the bulrushes that are in the middle of the river. They're everywhere. And if a body was lost in the middle of there, you would absolutely never find a body again. And remembering this, the river was in tumult at the time that she was lost. But when they were searching for Catherine, they found another body about 200 yards down the banks. Don't know in which direction, but they found another body. And this was like 6 or 7 hours after they'd lost Catherine to the water. And they said, there she is, there she is. And they raced towards the body, and they could see that the body was moving. And they thought, she's still alive, quick, grab her. Then they discovered it wasn't Catherine. It was another woman's dead body in the river at a time when the Scots were attacking, and who knows how many people they killed, and who knows how many of them they lobbed into the river, maybe just to dispose of the body. But this woman was no longer alive. The eels in the river had eaten into her stomach, and they were inside her, wriggling about, making her look alive when she wasn't. What have you found out? Right,
so look, so I saw this.
You've taken a picture of the... Oh,
so here we are.
The date, MDCC.
LXBI.
And
hey.
you.
Hey. So that works out to the year 1776.
So this bridge was put up in 1776. Still too late for the Scots, in fairness, but it's just purely by chance. I said, let's go driving about because we've been a lot of places, and we might just be lucky. And Here's the first. And it's odd because I've thought about doing Denwick as a place because I know that story's quite a good one. And then you think, well, what else is there to say about Denwick? And there isn't a whole heap. So you would never have got a ghost hunt. So you would never have got that particular story. So what we're doing now is we're heading back and we're going to be white van men again. And
apprentice.
thank you. I'm happy to let you do all the work and I'll just sit there prattling on as we do. So there's this, just beyond the van is the grand sign for Anwick. So we're nearly there. If you can see it, there you go. Right, opening the door and I'm in. Thank you. Oh. Right. Oh. So at least we got out a little bit and got you to see a little bit of something that we'd not seen before, which is pretty good. The only stories you're going to get tonight are the ones that I can obviously remember because there's not a hint of script inside. Well, there is. I got 4 pages of it, but I cannot use it. So. Right, there you go. And I got a pocket full of torches and lasers and all kinds of stuff.
Not a yogi bar in sight.
Not a hint of anything remotely tasty. But we're heading towards Anwick.
Well,
that is, I thought. And there you go. I will be telling you to stop. And again, it'll just have to be hit and run. So just stop where you can and I'll dive out.
Yeah.
There's we're on literally the edge of Anwick. If you know Anwick at all, you'll know precisely where we are. There's car parks that take you into Anwick Castle and what have you. And Lily Dory or whatever it's called, next to Hunky Dory and Jack and Ori. We're in Anwick, yay! So, took us a little while, but we got there. And rather than you have nothing tonight, we've got a few little tales to tell. Can you turn right at the end and we'll go through the arch where apparently they would hang dissenters and Scots actually off the gate itself so that anybody travelling in by coach or by horse could see the bodies hanging there. And when we get there, pull up on the cobbles. There is a rather beautiful war memorial right there. Beautiful looking thing. And to the right, you've got the Percy lion poking through the trees and beautiful sculpted gardens and a bookshop that seems like a really good idea. Barter books. I love books. And I went in there and they've got like books that are like 20 years old that cost 7 shillings and 6pence at the time, but they're selling them for like 60 quid and 20 quid. And I'm thinking, what? Anyway, this is the arch I was telling you about where they hanged people. And what I want you to do is pull up anywhere on your right hand side. Just where you're selling.
It'll be posh, we'll put it in backwards.
Put it in backwards.
Yeah.
Come on, we've all done it. Anyway, or maybe not. So here we are on the cobbles of Anwick. Let me get out and we'll have a little walk. Just a little one. I like Anwick. Bonnie. Right. Oh. Right, first things first, folks. Have a look at that. How bonny is that? One of the great Hotspur arches. Beautiful. And you can imagine, you can see, looking back, they've got the arrow slits in the side. You can see that this was a defensive piece of work. You can see the little arrow slits directly ahead. You can see where they were places where the fighting was done. Now on the top, and I don't know whether you can see the little metal attachments to the top. Now I'm fairly sure they were not the original ones, but there were hooks coming out of the building at one time, and people were literally left hanging here, so that when you came through, Now, the last time we did one of our little forays here, I got a letter from somebody saying that there's also an alleyway that has a murder attachment where somebody apparently was stabbed, and it's this area here. There it is. The area that leads to Bondgate Court. Now, the story I was told, and I haven't been able to justify it, haven't been able to find anybody that, haven't found any history on it at all. What I did find was that back in the day when all of these little side streets, and you can see the ground, it's probably the original, looks like the original deal, doesn't it?
Well, look at the bevel on both sides.
That's what carts.
Cart tracks.
It is. Cart track on either side. Well spotted, absolutely. But it was said that along these little side areas where they've tried their best, Anwick Council, I'm guessing, to put stone on that would look kind of in keeping, but that is the real McCoy. Now, if you were to be a thief or a mugger or a robber and you legged it down one of these places, the story I was told was that this link coming down Bondgate, somebody grabbed hold of the guy, and the guy got to the end and he found that he couldn't get out the other side. And he's a thief. He's got somebody's purse or somebody's ring or somebody's neckerchief. And the interesting thing was that as you get into the late 1700s, early 1800s, a lot of the people that were thieves ended up getting sent to places like Australia or the Caribbean. The very first slaves in the Caribbean weren't from Africa. They weren't black skinned. They were Scotsmen and Irishmen. And not too many people actually know that. But so this thief, according to all accounts, came piling down here. Now, obviously, this wall wouldn't have been here, and the buildings around probably wouldn't. I'm guessing these ones to my left would. And when you got to the end, it was a dead end. Boom, like it is. It's a dead end. So rather than disrupt the person who's obviously trying to make a lovely garden out of it, they said that the three people chasing him, the three men that decided to race after him, would get a hold of him and take his life. And it's said that along this avenue, they've seen figures, they've seen a dark shape moving. Like the thing that a lot of people see out of the corners of their eye, they see a dark shadow, and it's man or woman shaped. But I want to tell you a story about the cobbles that's just up here. Now, it may well have been the cobbles that's on the opposite side of the road, because you can park on the cobbles. And let's go and do that. And
oh yeah, bugs. He nearly hit the van. Lordy.
come on. Now, there's a very famous story about something that happened here on these cobbles. The cobbles just through the gate. Now, it's nice to be this close to them, because the story starts with a man who was unpleasant in church. Now, if you walk up here and turn slightly to the left and go up that road, there's a church, and they had problems. If you've ever been to, I once went to church at Christmas because I wanted to kind of get into, and it was awful. The whole place was full of drunks and people eating chips. It was real mistake. But it made me think then about this guy here in Anwick, because this fella made himself absolutely an abomination. He would go, every time the church was open for a grand mass, he'd go there and spoil it, shout, "The devil rules," and "Go away, Jesus," and those kind of things. the swear words of the day. And people got heartily sick of him. Now, this guy was in his 60s, which was quite an age back in the day, because a lot of people didn't live, beyond middle 40s normally. But this guy was causing all kinds of problems. He died. A grand cheer went up from everybody associated with the church. They were just more than happy to be shot of him, essentially. Now, problem was he wasn't a Christian, so he couldn't be buried in sanctified ground. He wanted to be buried in the churchyard, even though he didn't believe in it, but he wanted to be there because his family were there. But they wouldn't let him. So they buried him outside the churchyard on a farmer's field, edge of a farmer's field, in unsanctified ground. Now, a couple of days later, the people who lived in the houses in Anwick, because a lot of these fancy buildings were actually townhouses. You can see this one is a place called Swan Cottage here. A lot of the wealthy Anwick folk lived in places like that. And during the evenings, they kept saying that they could smell something that was kind of like rotten flesh. And they would look out of the window and they would see this old man, this guy who died, walking around the streets, but his skin was starting to rot and deteriorate and was literally falling off the bones. Now, we're talking at a time when the plague visited Anwick, like it did everywhere else in the North Country. And some places lost 3/4 of their population to the plague. But to see flesh literally falling off someone's bones onto the ground, and you see lumps of flesh falling, it became the talk of Anwick, and you can imagine it absolutely would. And as soon as 2 or 3 people saw it, 20 people saw it, then everybody was looking out their window and saying, how can he still be alive? We know he died. We know he was buried. A lot of people went to see him get buried, just chucked in a hole, no grand celebration. But a lot of people went just to make sure he was dead because they were heartily sick of him interrupting the church services. So they went back to the cemetery and said, well, if he's still walking about, he can't be in the ground. And they dug up his grave and he wasn't in it. They started looking around to see what could possibly be happening. He was propped up beside a tree. He was dead, but he was propped up beside a tree. Now this freaked everybody out. They said, well, shake him, shake him. He was dead. There's no question he was dead. He was beginning to look a bit skeletal. Stuff had started to eat away at him. So they put him back in the hole, filled the hole up. 3 days later, he's dug up again. Or climbed out. That's what the whisper was around the streets of Anwick. You can imagine the superstition. What if he's right? What if he is a child of Satan? What if he can achieve these amazing things? So, long story short, 4 times they went to the grave in the corner of that farmer's field. 4 times he was out the hole. Sometimes he's just lying on the grass. Other times he's propped against a tree. On one occasion, he was lying along the top of a wall. So they grab hold of him. Some people were saying, it's just a prank. It's some of the farm labourers have dug him up. They're just playing jokes on the church. So the second time they had to bury him, they got hold of some big heavy rocks. And they put rocks above where his body was. He still got out twice. On the 4th time, they put him in a stone coffin, an old medieval stone coffin that had belonged to somebody else. It's now empty. Dump him in the hole, put heavy slabs on top of the coffin, stones on top of the slabs, soil on top of the stones, grass on top of the soil. He's not getting out. And that was the end of it. Now, you could say a practical joke, fair enough, but people still kept seeing him. And late at night, they'd look out of their windows and they'd see this dark figure slouching around, walking just like this. Bit of a beast of an old fella, a bit of a Karen, I suppose, at a time when Karens didn't exist. And once that story had been put out, and it went out on obviously my radio show at the time, I got a phone call from a lady telling me what happened on these cobbles. And she said she pulled in, she was just going to do a quick bit of shopping in Anwick. She pulled into the cobbles. She was quite happy, turned the engine off. She was just putting on some lippy and getting herself set for a little trip and a little walk around. And she's sitting there in the vehicle, and all of a sudden, she saw somebody sitting astride her, facing her. So, you know, right in your face. And she started to scream. And she could feel the weight of this fella, an old man with whiskers and gnarled skin, not losing flesh of any kind, but gnarled. And on the back of that, she's screaming, she's howling. People, she said, were walking by, looking at me and thinking that I was a crazy person because she's shaking and trying to remove this figure from her lap. And suddenly he was gone. She said it lasted probably around 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. Now, if you stop and count 2.5 minutes, it's an extraordinarily long time. Let me tell you, it's a damn sight longer when you have no script and you're doing this ad hoc. However, but 2.5 minutes is bloody long time. And she said that she was absolutely manic and she was in a cold sweat and she didn't know what had happened. Now, she didn't know the story about, he's known here in Anwick as the Anwick zombie, and it's quite a famous old story. But she didn't know about him. But on hearing the story on the radio show, she said, well, could the two things be connected? I don't know. What do you think? Your guess is as good as mine. Anyway, let's have a little walk slightly higher, because there's a place I'd love to take you where I know there's a couple of other great stories. Anwick is the gift that keeps on giving. Are you locked up in there?
Yes, all sorted.
Right, let's get along here. Walk on the smooth bit of the cobbles. We do know that at the upstairs window there's said to be a ghost and a swan. The top layer of buildings. Can't remember the story. Haven't researched it, but I do particularly love the stained glass window above the door.
Ah, yes. If you can see that at home.
I want to get you to the market square. And it's just up here, so having a bit of a walk. It's better than just seeing Bouncy Road, if you know what I mean. Lovely. So there's all kinds of little side swipes. You know, we were talking about those little alleyways that the dodgy people used to.
Pickwick Lane.
Look at this. Pickwick Lane.
Oh,
just do it. Nice and slow.
Oh, lights up.
That's all right.
There's some stairs at the end here. If you're a cut purse, want to run away up there. Fantastic. Absolutely. Look at that.
And the stairs at the end that take you back out into the wilds. Do it. Do it. Might as well. We've come this far. Just beautiful. There's one alleyway that's very similar to this that we found a message stuck in the wall.
Yes, I remember that, yeah.
But you know, if you're trying to escape, how many women in a long dress that's just had their hat or their bonnet or their hanker or their kerchief stolen by a young boy who's running, who knows he could get the equivalent of about £4.50 for a hanky, for a snot rag? Really?
£4.50 back in the day?
Back in the day, which was a fortune. It's like 70 quid, 80 quid, because they were made of the finest silk and not everybody had one. There's no way a woman in long skirts is going to chase anybody up these stairs. No. A lot of men in hose wouldn't want to come and rip their outfits on the various thorny. And if you just turn around and look, how many would take their chance running up a place like that?
Because that would just go into it's a car park there now. But
it's a car park, but a woodland.
I was going to say that's into the woods, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's.
Let's just step on the way back there. Let's get ourselves back down to back down to the market square, which is where an awful lot of the best Anwick stories are. But it just goes to show, that back in the day, history's so gorgeous. And I know we talk a lot about criminals stealing little bits and pieces, and we've mentioned how a woman for stealing a loaf of bread, another woman for stealing a handkerchief got sent to Australia, how the men would be forced, if they were healthy enough, to go and start the cotton picking in the southern states of America. And they were sold for either 7, 10, or 12 years. And at the end of the 10 years, they'd be free. They'd be free men, provided they worked really hard. So what the slave owners used to do was, no, you're working 20 hours this week, and you're only getting this suit made of 1 dot of corn. They were essentially working them to death because they didn't want to give them their freedom. Because if they had their freedom, remember, they hated the slave owners. You didn't want people hanging around, huge groups of people that you used to boss around and ill-treat and torture. You didn't want them to survive. You didn't want them hanging around. You wanted rid of them, work them to death. And that's what they literally tried to do. And I know a lot of people hear me going on about cut purses and the thieves of the day. And some of them were awful people, murderers, rapists, child abusers. I mean, there's some horrible, horrible, horrible souls. There's a story from Low Newton that we very nearly got tonight about such a person. But for the people who stole, they had nothing. They were living in hovels. They didn't have enough food to eat. Some of them were working 2 jobs and they weren't making enough to feed their own family. So their men or their children or the women themselves stole. And it was their way to survive. And who's to say that we wouldn't do the same thing were we in that position? So I just don't think we should judge them too harshly. Listen to this. Don't you just love a gorgeous echo? And this view out the front, apart from the little planter at the end, would be pretty damn close to what it would have been like back in the day, before the instant light came on. There we come. Next to, you think that is the only little side street. You see how there's another one there? There's a beautiful clock above it. This leads to the new corner exchange used to be. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Corn.
I mean, just look at that. How cool is that? They've turned it into apartments, but the place looks gorgeous.
Wow.
Ignore the bins. Just look at that place. And the building that they've got on the right-hand side is kind of Victorian, colonial almost, when you see it. Look at how nice that place is there. And there's the corn exchange directly ahead of you up the stairs. Don't have to go there, just slot them. And a lot of old Anwick is all around you, all around you. You just got to come here and be part of it. It's tremendous. The marketplace, to me, I've always felt that the marketplace has a feeling, and it doesn't matter if you're there when there's a market on, doesn't matter if you're there on a shopping day and people are going to and fro. If you do have any form of gift to believe in spirit, and you get the tingle and you think, oh, there's something here. Do you get that kind of spidey sense, Paul?
Yes. So that's.
How do you explain it to somebody though?
It's kind of. It's when you're warm,
right?
When you're comfortably warm, you've been in an environment for 2, 3 more hours, and you're at a set temperature. Then all of a sudden, you have just all the feel of all your hairs on your back if you have so many hairs, of a certain length, as
Right.
it were,
They all start to dance.
Just stand up, and it's but it's not a cold. It's
a chill.
It's a chill. It's a feeling like no other that you would have if you were cold. I mean,
well, the thing about this one, and I'll just switch that back around. Sorry if I'm jiggling about. Anyway, let's go do it. There is the market square, which is beautiful. I'm just sticking on this side of the road because I know there's 2 or 3 more of these little entries that are just fantastic. And the old pant, which is quite famous. Got stories attached to that too. I'm just sharing with you the stories I can remember. Obviously, under the search. And let's go down. Get cracking on it. I love the fact that the cobbles are still here. A lot of the cobbles that they have reused over the years. Let's get into this. Just got to be careful we don't die. We're nearly over there.
Nearly there. Right, I think we're all right.
Because it's kind of holiday time, you still get a few people out and about. You can't blame them for that. I just want to be near the cross, because the cross, whenever I've been anywhere near it, and I'm not a Christian, the cross and the area around it has a bit of just a little ting of ambience around it. I love the fact that it does. Now, there's said to be a spirit that walks along here. Not this side, the other side. There's a ghost story that says that there's a female figure that walks along the length late in the evening. Now,
you could just imagine that, couldn't you?
You can absolutely picture it, and it's quite famous. And they say that a lot of people have witnessed this strange spirit walking along there. And there's the cross I was telling you about. Just think, you could have driven on. How cool is that? People are just driving on here.
That's that time of night, isn't it? That's that time of night. It's Oh wow!
This as well. This
is fabulous. Look at this! Wow.
Wish lads had your gobs. I'll tell you now a wondrous story. Wish lads had your gobs. I'll tell you about the worm. Now, if we're going to talk worm, you know how whenever we do any special show, including the Robson's World shows that we do, I always say that in every legend, in every piece of folklore, in every myth, there's a root of truth. Now let me share one with you. The story of the Lambton worm. Brave young Lambton went a fishing on the weir, caught himself the kind of fish he thought was rather queer. He wondered what kind of fish it was. What kind he couldn't tell. Ultimately, he hid it down the well. Now, I don't think this is the Lambton worm. We're on the wrong side of the Tyne for that. It's a weir beast, but it's a worm. This is not a dragon, because a worm, W-U umlaut R-M, is a dragon. Now, how can there be any truth in a dragon story? I've thought long and hard about this. Where did John Lambton go fighting in the war? He went fighting in the Holy Land. He was fighting specifically along the banks of the River Nile. I've been lucky enough to sail down the banks of the Nile. A lot of people have, trying to go and see all of the Valley of the Kings and all of the wonderful tombs. And one thing that I saw in spades, lots of, a kind of crocodile called a gharial. They look a little bit like a crocodile, but their jaw beyond their eyes goes in and then comes out just slightly. But a huge mouth. Now, what if, and think about this, because I bet you'll have seen in your lifetime, if you haven't seen in a zoo or some kind of zoological garden. Baby crocodiles. They're just little things. They're about this size, and they're little crocodiles. You can pick them up if you're willing to risk a thumb. And I've done precisely that. I've picked up a little small crocodile, and you think, oh, it's snappy little so-and-so. I'll put it down now. I've had enough, thank you, after 3 seconds. It's the same kind of person that does that, that usually carries a python that you're terrified of and hoys it on your shoulders, whether you like it or not. But imagine Lord Lambton, who loved his fishing, was in Egypt fighting wars. What's he going to do on his off time? What's he going to do when there's no battles? And you've got the River Nile there. You're going to lob a rod in, aren't you? You're going to have a few casts. If you're a fishing aficionado, you'd have to spell aficionado with the SH, of course. Now, I think, and I could be very wrong, but this is giving a way for the Lambton story to be right. Because anybody that's northern, and you don't have to be a Mackem, you don't have to be a weird side that I love the Lambton worm story. I think it's great. How could it be real? Imagine for a second that Lord Lambton comes back from Egypt and he's got himself 2 or 3 of these little gharial crocodiles. And he thinks, well, I've shown them to everybody and they've all gone, ooh, what's that? Once you get past that period, what do you do with them? No good. Just stick them in the river, let them swim away. Now, if you allowed the crocodile to live in the river, and it's the only apex predator of its kind in that river, it's going to grow quickly, eating all of the fish that's there. And it's going to become a hell of a size with a great big mouth and great big goggly eyes, as the rhyme says. It fits. Did that really happen? I don't know. But that could be the root of that story. And of course, the crocodile didn't grow to the size of wrapping itself around Penshire Hill. And it was never really Penshire Hill. It was there's Worm Hill in Fatfield. That's where it's supposed to be. And if you go to Worm Hill in Fatfield, you can see the hill has line marks going all the way around the top where the massive worm used to wrap itself. And they're entirely natural. So the worm-like creature was never that size. And I think if you saw a full-size crocodile, gharial can grow up to about 12, 15 feet. If you saw one of them in your river on the weir while you're washing your drawers or whatever, when somebody said, well, how big was it? You're going to do the fisherman thing, aren't you? It's going to become massive. And you're going to have to send some brave knight to go down to the river and try and find a way to dispatch it. So maybe that is the real story of the Lambton War. You never know. Now, I mentioned that this cross here, and I love it. You'll notice it's not a crucifix. And it's not a Celtic cross either. It's a very, very different thing. It's just the stuff that happened here is amazing. The stuff that happened in the square. And a lot of the buildings, as you can see behind us, are for Melvin's coffee shop. And I know a lot of the upper windows now are knacked, but a lot of the buildings here are the real deal. You can hear the town hall clock firing next to the church that's just a little bit higher up. We've hit the perfect time to come here and listen to everything going off. Come a little bit closer just so we get the sound sorted out. Now, and I apologise for this in close-up. I truly do. This square, hard to believe, this square used to do bull baiting. You would have a bear brought in, or a bull, because there were bears here many, many years ago, with chains attached to them, brought from foreign parts. But they'd bring a bull here, and they'd bring hounds, huge, massive hounds, to attack the bull. and there'd be like 6 or 7 dogs set on a bull for sport, and everybody would clap. Now, the interesting thing is, and how more people weren't killed, I'll never know, but I've read some of the reports of the old fairs where the bull baiting, it was called, used to be carried out here. And there wasn't like an enclosure. You know, nowadays you'd put those, you know, those metal fences that all link together. You see them at the Great North Road. And you'd have them all the way around and the bull would be in the middle. The actual enclosure was made up of men, women and children. They're all standing there saying, go on, let the bull. The bull could have charged into any of them at any time. And yet, I've not heard of a single story where that actually happened. They did that here. They also did cockfighting here. They also, for a number of years, I remember bringing a road show here. We were actually just around the corner, stopping the traffic. We had a great, it was about 5 hours of just singing, dancing and going crackers in Anwick. And I remember on that occasion, they had a massive water pit that they brought, and it was just beside where that dragon seat is at the present moment. And on top of it, they had stairs leading up to it, and it was a ducking stool. And you could pay money to get yourself soaked by sitting on the ducking stool. Then they'd fasten you in, drop you into this 8 feet of water, and then pull you out gasping for your life on the other side of it. Because that's what they used to do here in Anwick, down by the riverside, directly opposite the castle where we've done one of our shows. They dunked people that they claimed were witches into the river there, which was amazing. There's also another story about this place. When market day is on, there's stalls all the way around here, and it's a nice kind of lazy holiday-y, day-off-y kind of thing to do. It's a nice thing. Anwick get an awful lot of things right. I give absolute credit to the people that run this town. But there was a story that there was a woman giving readings like a spiritual medium, the whole crystal ball, probably the Gypsy Rose Lee before Gypsy Rose Lee, you know what I mean? And she gave this guy a reading saying, you will not pay me, and when you get home, disaster will strike you. And the guy went, what do you mean I won't pay you? I'm telling you your fortune. You've asked me to read your future. I'm reading your future. You're not going to pay me, but when you get home, disaster will have struck. And he said, well, tell me my fortune. I want to know my future. I want to know my fortune. So I've just told you. And he says, I'm not paying good money for that. So she was already right. When he got home, he found his wife dead on the floor in front of the fire. She'd fallen, hit her head on the fire side, and was dead. He was so angered by this, he came straight back to Anwick Square. And the spiritualist, the medium, the clairvoyant, whatever you choose to call her, the witch, he called her, she left. And he went around the other market stalls and said, where's she gone? Where's she gone? And he says, oh, we're traveling to Newcastle. There's a grand fair in Newcastle. He got on the Newcastle road with a few men and horses, and he stopped the clairvoyant, the witch, whatever you care to call her, and took her life. And when he came back home, 5 or 6 weeks later, his house burnt in a fire and killed him. All coincidence? Just a good story? Who knows? But there was always a clairvoyant here in the original markets. And it was one of the things that some of the elder women of towns and villages would do to make an extra few bob. Not to upset people, not to frighten them, not to hurt them. Just a bit of fun. Although this particular person saying the disaster was good. To me, that kind of thing, it's a bit like what spiritual mediums do now. You know, they get a big audience and they say, there might be somebody called John here. Does anybody know anyone called John? Oh, that's my husband. You know, it's taking a shot. And you can say to anybody, within the next month, disaster's going to strike. And then whatever bad happens to you, you get a flat tire, get a bit of toothache, your big toenail falls off because you started it in the middle of the night doing that little late night dance that we all do. They were right disasters. Conversely, if you say something amazing is going to happen to you in the next month, whatever the next nicest thing that happens to you, your partner decides to greet you home from work wearing something scanty saying, "Be mine." The medium was right. Something amazing happened last Thursday. Or Elsie. Oh, brace yourself, Hinny. So some of them are like, you could say something bad, something good. It's the easiest thing in the world. Yet this guy discovered coincidence, reality, whatever happened to him, and he wouldn't let it go. He just wouldn't let it go. Anyway, I don't know whether we can. I know it's a little walk, but let's do it. Let's head through that little gap, and we'll take you up to another relatively famous place here in Anwick. Just a nice time of night, isn't it?
It's lovely. Nice temperature now.
It's just starting to cool.
Nice temperature.
It is lovely. We'll put through. Because this is supposed to be haunted as well. Wherever you go in Anwick, there's a cracking story of one sort of that. And I love the fact that they've made all of these different. You know what I mean? Lovely bit of metal work. It all goes. And the original old doors. Tremendous. This is the old town hall, of course. The borough of Anwick Town Hall. The first floor is said to be haunted. And people have seen stuff along this corridor as well. I don't know what it is about corridors, but there's stories about this. I know it's a gallery that currently closed. It's 7 it would be too lit. We could do without the lights. I just love the old, aged places like this. It's tremendous. And you come back along some of the old streets. They're just beautiful old streets. So come on, let's get it done. Now it's a bit of a sprightly walk. Come on.
Yep.
And again, Hubbles wherever you go. Fatal Street, Hubbles car park. Love it. Absolutely love it. And the thing that I love more is if you do the skyline, you know, especially down towards the end, Paul. You see, it looks like it could almost be Edinburgh.
It does, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because they're the real buildings, the buildings that have been there for the longest.
I'll just point out some famous history here, Alan.
Please do.
This is where Sheena and I got married.
Get over.
Yeah.
And there's no plaque.
There's no plaque. I couldn't walk past there and not mention that.
No, you're not going to look at this, though. You know, come on. I love stuff like
Oh,
this.
go on.
You lead the way.
All right then.
I'm praying already.
No, I'll tell you what, let's have got. Let's put the torch on this and see. Oh, that's better. Get a bit more atmosphere.
How cool is this?
Flats.
Let's not go in.
No.
You've got to look, haven't you?
You've got to have a look. The door's open.
You've got to look.
Look at this. Wow. Dear me.
And then we've got to leg it just a little bit to your left.
Right.
Just because we want to make sure
we're going downhill now, so we're all right.
It's coming back that'll be the problem. But we're moving. I just love the fact that you've got a beautiful town like Anwick that's still got them all. You know, and you sorry, I can do what you can do. You know what I mean?
I'll go to the top of this cigarette.
What
Look
is-
here.
Keep your eyes peeled, you never know. You never know what you might get.
Yeah, I know, we'll be walking down there. Excuse me.
I don't blame you. It's been kind of non-stop today. And last minute, literally, we found out that Tony wasn't going to join us. Literally about 10 minutes after we were due to start, pretty much. So this is all flying by the seat of your pants. But we're on a great street. This is just a lovely, lovely street. I know there's a few boozers out, so we might get the odd shot. But this is a spectacular, amazing street. What a pubs. Harry's Bar.
Harry's Bar.
Let's get down there.
Hairy Lemon.
Yeah. This is, I thought you'd seen somebody you knew.
Oh, hey, what's happened here?
This is
No, you're joking.
not completely.
Oh, phew. Oh, gee, no, what for a second?
For a second, you thought.
So
These here bottles have remained untouched since 1725, when the then landlord dropped down dead after touching them. His wife proclaimed them cursed, and they have remained locked in this window ever since for the protection of all who pass by, although other eerie happenings still continue within. Now, about 3 or 4 years ago, I was allowed into the house above by the family who had taken over the bar. And they say that stuff moves all the time, stuff moves off the shelves, glasses and bottles have shattered. There's a whole range of different stories that have happened at the Dirty Bottles. Cursed or not, the house 100% is haunted. 100%. Not necessarily the bar, although they do say that when the bar is full and there's an awful lot of people in it, they notice, the staff notice stuff going on. And yet there's a hustle and bustle of a pub, so you don't necessarily react to it. Now, before we came down into Anwick, because to be honest, we didn't know where we were going, we were just chancing it, busking it. If at first you don't succeed. So I want to introduce you to the man we were discussing before.
the man himself.
And this is a completely, now you could argue that this is not a great depiction of a human being. I think he's a little bit middle heavy, but he's said to be Harry Hotspur. Called Hotspur because the Scots believed he was one of the greatest knights who could ride, and he was called Hotspurs. And as you can see, you've got an arrow here. Somebody's trying to pop his clogs, and there's you've got your spinning Hotspur.
Wow.
How about that? Let's spin his other one. He's got beautiful detail on the swords and the belt and what have you.
Oh, spin the other one. Now we get some detail here.
And you can see that
It's well made, isn't it?
you've got lions crest, the royal crest, and the Anwick lion upon them. You've got pike, because the river here is known as a pike river. You see the 3 pike on the sword. You've got the Anwick lion again, not the one with the pointy tail, though a more regal version of the lion. And I can remember, I am old enough to remember when the bigger kids used to all hang out in pubs and clubs wearing a kind of shoe called a winkle picker. And this guy, I'm sorry, but that's a winkle picker. And I remember the gag of the day, which isn't funny. Let me warn you, it isn't funny this year. But if you were in 1963, policemen would walk up to people and they'd say the winkle pickers, the big long shoes. And I do actually have a pair, like retro, new version of an old thing. And the policeman would say, "Do your toes go all the way to the bottom of those shoes?" And of course, any well-respected winkle picker wearing youth would say, "But does your head get all the way to the top of that helmet?" So, Harry Hotspur, eventually his life taken, but he was an amazing warrior. As I said earlier, the Alan Shearer of his day, and I think just an amazing place. Now, I know normally we would rattle on. I think we're probably done as much as we can for tonight. I'm sorry for all of the Newton by the Sea that didn't actually come off. I'm so sorry that we weren't able to totally deliver that for you. We've given you a bit, and we hope you've kind of enjoyed it. We're going to head back. And a bat literally has just flown across the top of your head, which is perfect landing.
It's pretty, just skid off the top of it.
It's probably looking for all of the green things.
It's not still stuck in there. I mean, no.
So big thanks to Paul thank you for this, because I have to say it was.
It's my pleasure.
Seat of your pants.
My pleasure.
Seat of your pants kind of stuff. We've talked a bit, you and I, about the kind of things that you've seen, and you told us that amazing ghost story that was confirmed like 20 years after the event. Is that the thing that got you stuck into all things ghostly?
Yeah, and just it's sort of after that, and it's kind of and when you were growing up, there was always like the bigger lads like push into some creepy building and they go and have a look, but they would never go in.
Right.
But you would go and have a look, but you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And ever since then, it's just, I mean, I've been doing this for as long as I can sort of remember.
But I mean, long-term ghost. Yeah, it's funny because when you just mentioned that, people that know me and have been with me through the whole radio thing, and some of you guys have been with me for like over, like close to half a century. Those of you that have survived that length of time, we've lost a few friends along the way, but those of you. It's just maybe a nice, just gentle time to talk about beginnings. I never believed in ghosts, not at all. Always used to say to people, "You're hallucinating. Have you had drugs? Are you drunk? Did you wake up after watching a horror film and you've had your heads played around with you just a little bit?" And I used to always talk people down on the radio, and then suddenly I saw something myself that I couldn't explain. And I didn't want to say anything because then I'd have to eat humble pie for months. It turned out to be years. And then I was away working in the other side of what I've done as a pagan historian, working for an American television company on a show before Scariest Places on Earth. And I was in an Irish castle telling the story of fairy trees and the folklore of the day. And I was in there with a room full of the 13 of us in total, some Irish, some American, some English. And we were on the 3rd floor of this castle in a circular tower. And something came through the wall, went straight through the middle of the room, through the table we were all sitting at, and through, not opening and closing, through the door directly behind us. And the whole room went freezing cold. And I said to everybody, don't say what you've just seen, write it down. Because if I'd said, I've just seen a grey thing with a white colour in it, other people would have gone, oh, it's a grey thing. Auto suggestion big when you've just been shocked by something. And everybody wrote down exactly the same thing. It was a man, probably 5'8", 5'9", not terribly tall, white stockings, although you couldn't see feet, but you could see the start of the white stockings. He was wearing hose. He had one of those ruffled collars, and he had what appeared like either blonde hair or a powdered wig. And we all said the F word in American, Irish, and Geordie. What the? And I can't, and none of us in that room could say what it was other than it had to be a ghost. It was a ghost. And then, of course, you go back on the radio and you say, you know, when I've always slagged you lot off about ghosts, they're real. I was wrong. I'm really sorry. From that moment, then you want to go and you want to see more. And of course, it's scant. Doing 40, 50 years of chasing after things, I've ended up hand on heart, seeing clearly 3, maybe 4 to push. That were absolutely 100%, no question, ghosts. No question. And to me, it's become, and I don't know what you're like, Paul, but to me, it's like sometimes I'm in a place that's terrifying and I feel really scared. And then you get out of it and all you want to do is go back and find another place that didn't.
Well, that's the crux of it, isn't it? You know, there's a lot of people, I don't know how you do that. Oh, I'd be scared to go in there. You know,
But you are sometimes, aren't you?
Well, you are, because I mean that's kind of what you go for. But you also find it interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, because you got the bit of history and what have you, and those other bits, the nibbles that go along with it. Or, I mean, you had something come at the wall, like what you said. You know, it's
what else can do that? And also, I get a kick out of other people seeing. And you know, we did a picture at the pub we were in, and somebody sent a photograph in and said, "Look closely at this." And in the middle of the room, there's the figure of a woman, and it's there on camera. But if you just casually glanced at the picture, you wouldn't see it. But once you see her, you can't stop seeing.
You can't stop, yeah.
And there she is. So anyway, we're all but done tonight. Thank you very much for being with us. That was our beginnings. If you want to write in and tell us, direct message me, Alan Robson, big M, small B-E, Alan Robson, big M, small B-E. DM me, tell me your stories. I'd love to hear them. I'd love to read them out on the Blah. We do a show every Tuesday night around about 7:30. We'd love us to join you on there. Now, usually this is the grand production, and we would have a proper camera. We'd have microphones. We'd have all the gizmos and bits and bobs. Not tonight. Making it up as we went along. But I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've seen some value in it after all the stoppy-starty bullshit that we went through. And I'll be back on Tuesday of next week with the Blah. I look forward to your company. And until we are together again, from Tony, who's poorly sick, but we wish him well, and I'm sure he will wish you well too. From Paul, who came to our rescue tonight.
Good night.
And from me, Alan Robson, good night. God bless you. And I wish you well. Till next time. Bye-bye. Oh, well, there you go. Don't you just wish you were having a bite to eat in the door?